you think about what other things are going on in the gut. Well, 90% of the serotonin in our body is right here. And if you can't make serotonin here and it's deficient, then you can't have it here. What does serotonin do? Serotonin is the main driver of mood. So now you have a mood disorder or a mental illness.
Right.
Or you can't convert dopamine. So, for example, how do we make neurotransmitters, which is what forms our mood? Like if you said to me, Gary, what is a mood? What is an emotional state? I would tell you that it's a collection of neurotransmitters bound to oxygen. So let's take a bowl and say, all right, we want to make happiness. Okay, that's so much serotonin, so much norepinephrine, so much epinephrine, so much dopamine. Boom, you have the emotion of happiness.
Yeah.
What if I say, well, you can be in any mood that you want. You just can't use serotonin.
Oof.
Because you can't make it now. So you can't use serotonin. So now any mood that requires serotonin, you can't assemble. So because of this deficiency, you've been told you have a mood disorder or a mental disorder. So now you are dealing with ADD or ADHD or OCD or manic depression or bipolar or any other number of conditions. And you're being treated for a mental illness that is the result of a nutrient deficiency. I mean, it's so true that God gave us everything that we need to thrive.
Yeah.
The soil is now so depleted, we're so nutrient deficient, that we get the expression of these nutrient deficiencies. I mean, if you look at nursing homes, for example, all over the country, they are full of elderly men and women that have osteopenia or osteoporosis, this brittle bone conditions, and they've been taking calcium supplements for 25 years.
Yeah.
It's not calcium. It's minerals. It's nutrients. So, for example, if we just want to take bones for a second, our bones are actually not calcium. Our bones are calcium combined with something called phosphorus that forms a compound called hydroxyapatite. Same thing our teeth are made out of. In order for this to happen, we need 12 minerals. If you're missing boron, manganese, molybdenum, selenium, silica, magnesium, if you're missing any one of these 12 minerals, you can't form bones. And now you have brittle bones, and now you're being treated for a brittle bone disease that is the expression of a nutrient deficiency.
So is this what, I mean, there's so many places I want to go with this conversation, from the mood disorder and mental health and the crisis that we see in America.
Yes.
And then with everybody breaks a hip when they get over 70 years old. So what minerals are we missing that we can get every single day in the food that we're taking in?
That's a great point. I mean, most people think that the elderly have a tendency to fall and break their hips.
Yeah.
Very frequently. That's actually not true. What happens is their hip breaks and then they fall. The fall does not cause the fracture.
Yeah.
The fracture causes the fall. And so why that's so important is, grandma is standing at the sink, she's washing dishes, and all of a sudden, crack, her hip breaks, her femoral neck of her femur breaks, and she falls. And then you get the call, hey, grandma fell and broke her hip. No, her hip broke, and then she fell. And the reason why that's so important is because at the point at which your skeletal system can no longer support its own weight, forget trauma, right? I mean, just support its own weight. That is a sign of how demineralized that person is. And what's the easiest way to get minerals in the morning? You can take, I take something called Baja Gold sea salt. This is probably one of my favorite biohacks. A $10 bag of this stuff will literally last you 5 years. It's a mineral salt. You can also use Celtic salt. But a mineral salt will have the complete profile of these minerals that your body needs. So in the morning, if you just took a half a teaspoon of this mineral salt, put it in water, stirred it up, and whacked it back, you would hydrate and mineralize the body. Now you're giving the body the raw material, the basic building blocks it needs to function.
First thing in the morning.
Hydrate and mineralize the body.
So all this Celtic sea salt I have in my house, I could be doing this every single morning.
Every single morning.
Got it.
I think Celtic salt is great. Baja Gold is the one that I use because it has a great mineral profile. They test these salts for all kinds of things like heavy metals and glyphosate and things. But so they're very clean salts. But when you give the body those minerals, back to that, palm tree example, if you didn't find the nitrogen missing in that soil, that leaf would have never healed.
Yeah.
And we would have spent a lifetime up there in the leaf, like trimming it, cutting it, spraying poison on it, trying to treat the leaf. But the truth is, we had a nutrient deficiency. And salt, for example, we've been taught to fear salt.
Yeah.
But nothing could be further from the truth. You know, I'm like, if your blood pressure, let's say, was so high right this moment that you called 911, the first thing they would do when they got here is they would bag sodium. They would bag sodium chloride into your veins to lower your blood pressure. If you were so dehydrated right this moment that you landed in the emergency room, the very first thing they would give you is a saline IV.
Yeah.
And there's a very interesting study published in the Wiley Journal of Headaches. It's a very renowned journal on headaches. And it was looking at migraine sufferers. And what they found was they found an inverse relationship between sodium and migraine headaches. In other words, as sodium went up, migraine headaches went down. As sodium went down, migraine headaches went up. And why is that? It's because people think when they have a headache or migraine that the pain is coming from their brain. But that's not true. The brain actually doesn't have any pain signals. Your brain is not capable of generating a pain signal. So then where's the pain coming from?
Yeah.
It's coming from the covering of the brain. Imagine taking a piece of saran wrap, right, and wrapping it over the brain. It's called the dura. And this saran wrap is fraught with pain receptors, and it hates two things. It hates being stretched, and it hates being contracted. What determines whether or not it stretches or contracted? Sodium. So by taking mineral salts very often, I'm not saying always, and I'm not telling you if you're on migraine medication to stop taking migraine medication, but what I am telling you is if you suffer regularly from migraine headaches or headaches especially in the mornings, which are dehydration related mainly, try adding a mineral salt to your morning routine and see if in 48 hours to 72 hours, those headaches become a permanent thing in your past.
Oh, wow.
And so this is what I mean by nutrient deficiencies. We get deficient in vitamin D3, the sunshine vitamin.
That's one of the things when you start testing for your hormones, you start doing your blood work. One of the things, because I've been told this, that vitamin D is low.
No question. I mean, that's probably one, among the biggest pandemics in the world is that is a clinical deficiency in vitamin D3. So this is the sunshine vitamin.
Yeah.
So when God made us, he made us with the ability to make one vitamin. So if I tested your blood right now, or anybody in the studio's blood right now, you'd see that you have hundreds of vitamins in your bloodstream. You're only capable of making one. So how important do you think that vitamin is to human function?
Yeah.
So vitamin D3 we make from sunlight and cholesterol, right? So when sun hits our skin and interacts with cholesterol through the kidneys, we make something called vitamin D3. It acts partially like a hormone. It acts like a vitamin. When you have a clinical deficiency in D3, which, by the way, was the second leading cause of morbidity in COVID, when you have a clinical deficiency in vitamin D3, what are some of those consequences? Well, your immune system gets compromised. Your joints start to ache. We used to see in the mortality space over and over and over again, people go into their primary care doctor, and they would be reporting the symptoms of vitamin D3 deficiency.
Yeah.
The doctor would hear the symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis, and they would often diagnose them with rheumatoid based on their symptoms.
Based on them not having high D3 levels.
Based on a deficiency in vitamin D3.
So how many people are going to the doctor and being diagnosed with things that are really due to the mineral deficiencies in their body?
Oh my gosh, it's an absolute pandemic. I mean, if you look at the leading causes of death in America, number one is cardiovascular disease. Number two is cancer. The third leading cause of death is medical error. And if you just pause for a second and think, wait a second, the third leading cause of death is the industry designed to prevent death.
Yeah.
If you translated that to any other industry, it'd be laughable.
Yeah.
Right? If you sold home security systems, but you were like the third leading cause of home invasion, right? I don't think you'd be in business very long. Right?
Exactly.
But we're like, I know where I'm going to, get healthy, I'm gonna go to the third leading cause of death and ask them what they would do.
Hey, Vault family, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this clip, make sure to check out our full interview on our channel at Vault Empowers Talks. We don't just scratch the surface. We dive deep into the lives of some of the world's most influential leaders and change makers. Don't forget to like, to comment, and be sure to subscribe for more inspiring conversations. See you next time.